All right, good morning, everybody. I wanted to make a short video. I was listening to Glenn Beck this morning. I think it was from yesterday. It's on YouTube, and he was talking about how the dumbing down of media has really gotten out of control. And he said, people would interview him, and they would always ask, what's the secret to your success and so forth. And he said one of the things is he doesn't talk down to people. He speaks to people in an intelligent manner. And he said people would tell him, you can't do that. You can't talk like that, you can't do that on television, right? Which is along the same lines, really. The truth is, and there's something really true about what he's saying there. They really have dumbed down the media. I haven't watched 60 Minutes in years and years and years. And I remember 60 Minutes, you had Morley Safer, you had Mike Wallace, you had Andy Rooney. And even if you disagreed with them, they weren't talking down to you, right? And yesterday I decided I wanted to watch this story about the birds aren't real, and I didn't know what it was all about. I didn't know what this story was. And I noticed, I don't know the name of the lady, Lindsay Staller or something like that. And I realized she's talking like a kindergarten teacher. No insult to kindergarten teachers, no insult to Sesame Street or Mr. Rogers. All those things are wonderful and great for kindergartners, or for, I guess someone trying to achieve some kind of ASMR. I think they get from the Mr. Rogers, like they do from, what's the other guy, the painter, Bob Ross, right? That they have that ASMR feeling. It seems very strange to me why it sounds like she's talking to kindergartners. It sounds like she's a kindergarten teacher, the way she's talking, really talking down to us. And that's one thing I always try not to do personally. I always give people the benefit of their intelligence. I respect everyone's intelligence, and I understand that people are generally intelligent. Children are intelligent, adults are intelligent. I talk to my children like adults. I don't talk to them like babies, or I try not to. I remember there was a book called Cheaper by the Dozen, and the fellow said, a kid could be 17 years old before he realizes that not everybody talks in baby talk. But that's what we're really seeing here. And my understanding is my kids, their teachers also don't talk to them like they're babies. One of my daughters, when there was the vice presidential debate, so that would already be 3 years ago, and you have someone like Mike Pence, who's very presidential. I know people are upset at him because he didn't do what we wanted him to do. And that was because his understanding was different than ours, and we can respect differences. And I still have tremendous respect for Mike Pence. I really like Mike Pence. Mike Pence was really the reason why I voted for President Trump in 2016. Because I was very uncomfortable with Trump in 2016, but I could not bring myself to vote third party when you had such a bad prospect as Hillary Clinton. And nobody imagined that Joe Biden would be so absolutely awful and horrible. He's doing, I think, more damage than Hillary Clinton would have done, than Bernie Sanders would have done. He is frightening what he is doing. It's really, really scary. And I don't think he's just dumb. I think he's playing dumb. We talked about that earlier. But anyway, one of my daughters was listening to former Senator Harris, and she said, is this a 5-year-old? She talks like a 5-year-old. And to a certain extent she talks like a 5-year-old, and to a certain extent she talks more like a kindergarten teacher. When she says something like, well, Russia is a big country and Ukraine is a small country. Well, Ukraine is not really a small country. Ukraine is the largest country that's entirely within Europe. So to say, oh, Ukraine is a small country, it isn't Luxembourg. It isn't Kuwait either. So is that because they really believe that most of the people listening to them are really that dumb? I think so. I think these are elitists who really turn their nose down at everybody. Walter Cronkite didn't do that. And JFK didn't do that. And I'm no fan of JFK. I think JFK was a horrible, horrible president who got turned into a martyr because he got assassinated. But we were much better off with Nixon in '60. And I think Nixon won in '60. It was the mafia who played some games in Chicago. The same thing that happened in 2020 happened in 1960. People don't realize that. Nixon really won in 1960. And there's a lot of proof for that it was the mafia who played some games. And the reason why Nixon did the same thing Pence did is that the mafia had some stuff on Nixon. And that's why he just kept his mouth shut. But in any event, I think one of the things that is the problem in the media today is, they talk to us like we're babies, and they do that because they think we're babies. They are elitists, they are arrogant, and that's why they feel they're better than us. And the truth is, Mr. Rogers didn't really do that to children, even though he spoke slowly and clearly. He spoke intelligently, and he very rarely would stop and say, well, this is not a subject that we can't get involved with. He would talk about subjects that were necessary to talk about and get into things that were necessary to get into. That he taught children to respect other people, not to look down on people who are different than them. And that's what the left does all the time. They look down on people that are different than them. When Mr. Rogers was putting his feet in the swimming pool with an African American man, he was showing camaraderie. He was showing equality, not this equity nonsense that I have to give you a lift up because you can't do this on your own because you're a baby. That's what the left looks at the world like. The left looks at the world when they talk about equity. What they're really saying is that you're not good enough. You can't do this on your own. Whereas Mr. Rogers, his whole thing was, no, you're good enough. You can do this. You're a powerful, strong person. And again, that goes back to the difference between liberalism and leftism. Is that Mr. Rogers was a liberal. Elon Musk is a liberal. Donald Trump is a liberal, really. And liberals have respect for other people who are different than them. The truth is, Dennis Prager is a liberal. And the leftists want power, control, and so they want to keep people down so they don't get lifted up, so they don't excel. That's a big problem. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment, and we'll see you later.